So there's been a lot of debate, which is a good thing. The thing I've been impressed with more than anything is the diversity of work that's been coming out all of the different countries that are submitted. There's been a real varied canon of work. So some, I guess, what you might call traditional insight-led pieces of work, and some kind of very new kind of technology-led pieces, which really start to push the boundaries of, I guess, what you might call marketing or what you might call media. And because you've had that variation, there's been so much kind of debate, a lot of debate actually around how we define categories. What do we define as effectiveness? What do we define as an insight? Which has been incredibly healthy and incredibly edifying. I've found myself, and I tend to stick to my guns, but there were 3 or 4 different instances in there where the conversation in the room completely changed my mind, and I ended up a completely different place from where I started, which is always the good sign of a healthy discussion.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. How has it been sharing the room with so many industry colleagues and peers, and in some cases maybe even some rivals as well?
Oh, it's intimidating. There are some smart people in the room, and again, to this variety point, I mean, you guys have done a really good job of putting a lot of very, very different people with very different backgrounds into the room. So you've got people who operate in the fintech space, people who've come out of kind of tech consultancies, more traditional marketers, more traditional media people, and that's what really creates a bit of healthy debate, because everyone's starting from a different place. And I think, now more than ever, we need to sort of redefine what we mean by media in our industry. It's not just TV ads, it's not just digital banners, it's something much more expansive than that, and bringing a group of very, very different people around the table is the best way to engage a conversation around that.
And what's the standard been like? I mean, are you watching cases and knowing straight away that that's the one you want to vote for, or are you finding yourself sat on the fence waiting to be convinced by someone?
Yeah, there were a couple of shockers actually. There were a couple that I went into the judging. I was like, there's no way that is going to get anything but the gold, and found the opposite actually. There was kind of zero consensus, and I obviously try and fight my corner. But I mean, across the board, I think there's a very, very high standard. I think creativity in media is sort of coming into its own a little bit more, and we saw more executions where the idea was intrinsically part of the media itself, rather than just a way of distributing an advertising asset made by an advertising agency.
And finally, there may be some people that are sat on the fence about entering and being part of this awards process. What would you say to someone who's sort of umming and ahhing whether to enter?
I'd say get involved. You get to put your work in front of some of the best minds in the industry. You get to put it up against a great canon of other competitor brands' work, and kind of shining in this environment is shining on a global scale. So I'd absolutely urge anyone to get involved.